Morning. Well, it looks like we're going to have a cozy group today. So hopefully some folks will show up. But what we're going to do is we're going to watch how a food photographer, or a product and food photographer, how that person is starting to use artificial intelligence to create the products that, or the pictures that they need for products. And the big thing about it, from my perspective, is a dramatic reduction in the cost of having this kind of stuff done. Normally, custom food photography is very, very expensive, and this really cuts a lot of the cost out. So hopefully you'll find it useful. So let's give it a shot here.
All right, I'm super excited today. We've got Terry Campbell, food photographer and director. Why do we have a food photographer on Packaging Unboxed? Well, because Terry's doing some kick-ass stuff. Besides being known for his amazing work, he's done stuff for Baskin Robbins, for Jimmy John's, like you name the food brand, he's taken pictures of it. I'm going to tell you, he is one of the first people to find a real world application for AI generated images in professional work. Yeah, we're all playing around with Midjourney. We're all using Stable Diffusion. We're doing all this fun stuff, but Terry's put this stuff to work. He's going to tell us how he's doing it and like what can we do to improve our images and the way that we're generating things in AI. What he's doing is he's actually generating background images that are projected onto screens that are used as backdrops for the shoots that he's doing. He's creating complete environments to drop in photos that he's actually taken of product into like this beautiful environment that he's created. And he shares some of his favorite prompts and the tools that he's using to create these images. This episode's like a cheat code to Midjourney from a professional photographer. Do me a favor, before we get started, hit subscribe on whatever app you're consuming this content. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Hit subscribe and leave us a rating. I appreciate that. So let's get to the show. Terry, you're a photographer. You do food. You got an amazing looking kitchen behind you at the moment. Can you give us just a quick rundown on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a commercial food photographer and director based in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been doing this for a lot of years now. And yeah, we shoot a lot of food. It's either packaging or point of purchase stuff for big national brands and a lot of stuff you see on the grocery store shelves.
So you're shooting the food photography that's going on the actual package.
Right, the food that's going on the package. So what's making you want to buy it?
And then you're doing a ton of stuff in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to the space, but I've just been having so much fun and trying to, find ways I can incorporate it into what I'm doing now too, into some of the work we're already producing, and not so much where the future is with that, which I think is incredible, but how I can use it now.
So that's a different take. And, the package, the podcast that we're doing, it's a packaging focused podcast, but really AI is so new and so much is happening in there. I wanted to just shift this podcast to AI, and the fact that you're using it for today is awesome. Like I think I saw you generating some backgrounds in AI. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a project a few months ago where we actually needed to photograph kitchens, and have them in the background of what we were doing. But we just needed to be a static shot. We didn't need much to it. So we could have shot it on a green screen. But instead, I had been watching, The Mandalorian and how they were filming that using LED TVs. And I'm like, why can't I just use a regular TV? I don't need that much space. I don't have to have a huge wall. And I like the fact that the lighting from the TV affects the shot. So we ended up just buying stock images at the time and projecting them onto a widescreen TV, set up behind the set. It worked perfectly. And so as I started using the AI, I'm like, I could use that to create some really crazy kitchens and really different stuff than I was able to find in stock. So that's been kind of a focus, is creating some kitchens and backdrops. And then that just morphed into, wow, I could just strip in a product into this and I would be done. I wouldn't have to prop the set. I wouldn't have to build the set. I wouldn't have to tear the set down. So yeah, AI has just been fitting in beautifully.
Are you playing in that, or are you actually putting that into production, like in terms of shots?
I mean, it's really early stages for clients to buy in and go with it, but I'm using it in a lot of, spec work and things that we're trying to just showcase what we can do.
So you're the first photographer that I've had on here, and I'm seeing a lot of the prompts are it might be like 3 or 4 words of the product that you want, and then there's like 100 words after it that have strictly to do with photography. So what kind of superpower does that give you as a photographer to be like, maybe these people are using way too many words? This is exactly what I want, and how I want my shot to feel.
Yeah, it does understand a lot of the, photo lingo and videography lingo. So you can definitely use some of that to help. Mostly it helps with camera angle or camera position, to say drone view or to say establishing shot. Things like that will help you get a better angle. I'm rooting for the day when we can say raise the camera 10 degrees, raise the, that's the kind of control I would ultimately like to have. But right now it's just, I can do some more global transitions and stuff. And the verbiage, it does help, I think, to know the photography terms. I think it just helps to have, an eye toward that kind of composition and creation. Somehow I think that helps me, create a little bit better prompt in what I say. Sometimes it takes a lot of words. Sometimes it just takes a few words to get where you want to go.
So you said you use an LED screen. So can you explain that to me? Like, I'm picturing a counter with an LED screen on it and then the product in front of it, but that can't be it.
I mean, more or less, what I did just a couple weeks ago, we set up a TV, an 80-inch LED TV, and then we wheeled out an oven we have here at the studio, kind of put that in front of it, projected one of the AI kitchens on the TV via the laptop, just, took it out, put it right onto the TV, and then I can kind of live preview everything. I can see exactly what's happening in the set, see how the model's wardrobe reacts with the background. We can adjust the lighting, we can make sure things are looking right, and then we can do video, or we could do still images against that, TV background. So it's just a quick way to bring things in, and also to just feel the shot live instead of shooting against a gray or a green screen. So
then the benefit is you can adjust the prompt, put it up on screen and actually see it, versus the old way, which was, you'd have a green screen and then maybe you got to figure it out in post and you're like, oh, I wish I would have rotated that a little bit or had a different light on the product.
Right. Especially when you're dealing with like a stove in the foreground and the appliances in the background, you might go, oh, that stove needs to rotate more or twist more to really feel believable, or I need to move the camera up or down, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So
So what are some prompt tips? Like, what are your favorite go-to prompts from a photographic standpoint?
Well, I'm learning all the time. I mean, some fun ones. Photorealistic seems like an obvious one you'd want to use, but what I'm learning is that photorealistic is also a style of painting. And Midjourney is the AI I use most, but it can sometimes interpret that to mean you want a photorealistic painting instead of a photorealistic photograph. So, I've gone to more photographic style instead of saying photorealistic. And the other one that I found so amazing the other day, I tried smiling. I tried people smiling, and I just they were just over exaggerated. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, smiling doesn't work. And then I noticed someone else that had talked about their prompts, and they had used grinning instead of smiling. And I was like, well, let me try that. Total difference. Like, grinning works. It's a natural smile. Smiling is like over the top. But we're in such early stages of this. There's so many changes happening so fast. I've really tried to give myself the freedom to not get too tied up into it or really, really hone down what I want, because they're going to change that algorithm, and then all the prompts I have aren't going to work anyway. So I'm really trying to just explore, have fun, not get too caught up in, can I repeat this 17 times? Just kind of live in the moment and go, that's awesome. How can I use that?
Yeah, no, that's funny that you mentioned. One, it's funny that you mentioned the smiling versus grinning. One thing I've found is, and I don't do a lot of people. I do a lot of packaging. Right, I focus strictly on generating packaging. But one thing I was looking at is, a smile is a smile is a smile to us, but when you communicate that to somebody else, it could be like a gigantic smile. It could be like a smaller smile, like a toothy smile.
Yeah,
where it's more about communicating the emotion inside the person versus the external visual appearance. So it's like, confidence, or, a confident female, or a, proud man, or, like putting in that, what are they feeling at the moment? And then it actually can build it from the inside out and show that on the face, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I've found some emotional prompts to work, happy, sad, uplifting, whatever it is. You can kind of add those and sprinkle those in, and that does kind of come back out in the way it, like you said, the different smiles, the different expressions, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then with your, so with the photo lingo, right, in terms of the drone shot and those types of things, how in depth are you getting? This episode is brought to you by idpdirect.com. They're the only packaging manufacturer that specializes in sustainable retail packaging that they've made in their own factories, which is going to save you money from having to pay distributor markups. If you need to buy packaging, check out idpdirect.com. This episode is also brought to you by specwrite.com, your packaging specifications management platform. Now, why would you want this? Well, it streamlines the project management process. It's going to standardize your design processes as well, and it's going to manage all of your documentation processes and a ton of other things. So if you're already buying packaging, check out specwrite.com. Make amazing things with specwrite.com. And now we're also brought to you by packdora.com. Go log in and get 50% off today with the promo code UNBOXED50. UNBOXD50. Check it out. It's a $200 a year service. With that code UNBOXED50, you're going to get 50% off for the first year. It's a service that I use every day to create die lines of different box structures, and it creates renderings of that artwork immediately for me. I can throw artwork on there and I can see how it all wraps and folds. And last, if you want to catch me live, I'll be speaking at Paris Packaging Week, January 25th and 26th. I'll also be speaking at Packaging Premiere in Milan, May 16th through the 18th. Let's meet. Let's connect. I look forward to meeting you in person. Let's get back to the show. How in depth are you getting?
I'm not going too crazy. I'll sometimes talk about depth of field. I might give it an f-stop because it understands f-stops, or I might say bokeh for the background. I want it blurred out. If I'm saying establishing shot, I want something really low and kind of looking up at it. If I want to be right over the top, I say drone shot. The hardest things for me to get right now are just a flat shot of a table or a wall, because sometimes I want to create just a background. And so all I want is just a straight on shot of a wall. And it's really hard to get it to understand that. Sometimes you can lower the sensitivity. There's basically a style sensitivity, because the artwork, the way the program is meant, it's meant for people that are mostly using it for just fun. And so if you put in the word, dog show, they don't, you may not want just a literal dog show. It kind of embellishes it and says, you probably want something better. So it takes your prompt and makes sure that it returns something that's pleasing. So when you are trying to get a very specific prompt, it keeps trying to translate that into something else. So what I've done is, turn down that sensitivity to say, don't apply all your, styles to it. Just give me what I'm asking for. So you can lower that sensitivity sometimes when you find your prompts aren't having much of an effect. Wow.
Okay. That's a great tip. And I think style goes from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Default is
on average, it's like 100.
Yeah. Default is 100. And I've turned it down to 0 before.
Wow.
Trying to get it to do something.
And you're getting good results at 0?
Yeah, that's helped.
Cool.
Depending on how specific your prompt is.
Sure. Oh, that's awesome. And then in terms of like your f-stop, are you able to adjust, are you adjusting ISO? How crazy are you getting?
I've never worked with the ISO. Only sometimes I might give it. I was doing a project. So I say I do food, but this has really opened me up to a lot of things, because if I wanted to shoot a model, back like I used to do when I started my career, if I wanted to shoot a model, I would, have to hire a model, hire a makeup artist, do the wardrobe, do all this. It's just like to do a test or something so expensive, but I can do people, and like in AI now, I can explore that. I can see what that looks like and try things. So, doing a lot more exploration of people stuff. So I might try to get people. The other day I was thinking, okay, what's a real world use for this AI? What can we do with it now? And I thought, well, what if you were doing an ad campaign and you needed people in 1974 San Francisco? Well, you're going to have to go to Getty, look up historical images. You're going to have to get permission to use their photos if there's trademarks in there. Or you can do a photo shoot and hire the models and makeup artists, shop thrift shops, find clothing, find locations that are nondescript. It's a fiasco either way. I can do it in AI like in a day. I can create these people and these things that are specific. So when I'm doing 1974, I'll sometimes look up what were popular cameras in 1974, so Nikon FE or whatever it is, put that in the prompt. I might put in the types of films that were popular in that day. So it would also kind of lean toward that sort of color grade, of what the film was in 1974.
I'm from the design side, the industrial design side. So I'm focused on like the structure, but the resulting images, if you're putting in what kind of camera, what kind of film, that gives you a whole separate superpower.
Well, the design side, do you try to use it to just, kind of brainstorm and create some ideas? I mean, I've done some stuff the other day where I was just kind of riffing off of this color pattern and having to give me different ideas. And I thought, if I were building a set, I would be like, well, what color should the walls be, this and that? But if I did it in AI, I'm like, okay, that's the color palette. Blue walls, yellow curtains, that's what we need. So I think as a designer, it gives you that opportunity to, explore ideas and see things you might not have even thought of or come across in your normal, research for a project. Yeah.
So it's the same, right? It for packaging, I might pick a specific bottle type, and at this point it's learned enough. I feel like I'm the only one teaching it packaging at this point, but it feels like, like there's different types of, wine bottles, like a port bottle or a champagne bottle, or, like a vodka bottle, typically long and tall. And you can ask for like a longer neck. You can ask for like the glass color, you can add a radius to the edges. The results are coming back are, a lot of people are complaining that, well, that's not realistic. That's not manufacturable today. And it's like, that's great, because most designers we're taught to design within what's manufacturable. So there's that limit, right? If I can create something that's completely impossible, that pushes me so far out of what's realistic that I can then pull it back and I'll still have a resulting design that nobody else would have considered. So yeah, it pushes you super far. And then, you get to play around with different styles that you probably wouldn't want to go through the whole process of doing. Like I want to do a bottle, that's inspired by by the Cubism movement or by Bauhaus. And as you're doing this, it's like I don't have to go through and like research like how that would be applied to this particular product and make it feel authentic. I can kind of crank that out pretty quick and go, oh, that's kind of the direction I want to go, or maybe that's not the direction I want to go. Or I can combine styles, like I said, super quick, and find, all right, maybe I need to be in this direction. And then, of course, you go in and actually design it. Like this isn't delivering the finished piece, but it's getting us pretty close.
Yeah, that's even with the photography stuff that I'm doing. I'll end up getting two different renders that, this one has something I like and this one has something else I liked, or this one was great, but it just put some weird artifact over here. And so I can just go into Photoshop and kind of correct that, take it out, combine a couple of different renders to get just the thing I want. So it's not always like it kicks out the perfect thing. That's actually very less likely, but it gives me something I can work from, and then I can build off of that. So for me, I'm very much I know it when I see it. So AI is beautiful for me because it gives me a lot of options pretty quickly.
You know what? And that's the one thing that as designers we hate is when a customer, a client says, oh, it's not that, but I'll know it when I see it. But we're kind of the same way as designers. We know where we want to go. And if we see it, we're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, AI, you can crank out hundreds of these.
Yeah.
And at this point, are you, you're way past the free version.
Oh yeah.
So
most people I talk with and try to bring into this, they try the free version and they can't really get anything before they run out of credits.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I didn't really get anything. I'm like, yeah, just go paid right off the beginning. But yeah, I'm well past that. I'm basically just trying to, I'm using the unlimited version. If I do $30 a month or something, it's unlimited. And then I just keep everything on relaxed mode. It doesn't take that long to render stuff. I'm not worried about rendering really fast. So I just use that and just keep going because that's the most economical for me. It's just to keep trying stuff and exploring. And I think it's one of these tools. I had a friend who's an artist who I think initially felt kind of threatened by this technology and what it meant for his livelihood, because that's what he does now. He sells his art, and that's all he does. So what does this mean? And so we had lots of discussions about it. And really, once he tried the software, until he actually used it, he wasn't sure. And then as soon as he used it, he sent me a message and he's like, hey man, here's the first render. I used it to get a prompt, an idea for what I wanted to do as a painting. And he's like, I'm hooked. So it's great in so many ways. It's just another tool. It's just Photoshop. It's just a digital camera. I mean, it is going to be disruptive to the photography industry. There's no doubt that this will be as disruptive as the transition from analog to digital. But it's definitely, just another expression, another way to do this. And I think that it will help us, push the craft even further.
Yeah, no, it's fun that you mentioned your friend, feeling threatened and then going all in, right? But that's the experience that I've had. A lot of designers saying, that's not, it's not good, it's not fair. People are putting in prompts of specific artists, and it's like you're taking their style and using it without their knowledge. 100%, people can do that. Yeah. But as designers, you're creative enough that you don't need to do that. That you can focus on style and texture and all these different things. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can create a million things before breakfast.
Yeah.
and have my day set. So now I know what I'm doing. It's super, super helpful. And you're right. It's just another tool. So what are you most excited about?
I mean, I'm on fire. It's like, I haven't felt this way since I got my first camera. I don't think it's just been this amazing new world opened up to me, especially at this point in my career. I'm kind of looking for what's next and what I'm going to do. And this is just like, wow, I can do so many things now. And, I started my career obviously shooting a lot of things. That's what you learn. And I enjoyed doing a lot of stuff. And when I first started my business, although I knew I wanted to focus on food, I was not the food guy. I shot diapers, I shot Tide boxes, I shot everything, and I enjoyed a lot of the people stuff and some of the other things we got to do. But once I became known as, the food guy, then
Yeah.
everybody thought I couldn't shoot anything else, which is fine. I started getting really premium food assignments, but it kind of pigeonholed me into that. And what I'm finding is this gives me an opportunity to explore and enjoy other things without a lot of expense, of going, like we talked about with the models and things. So I can just explore and do stuff. And that's what's really exciting for me is I feel like the shackles have been taken off and I can do anything now, because why wouldn't you hire me to create those images of San Francisco in 1974 now?
Yeah.
I don't have to be just the food guy. I can do those other things too.
No,
Just
100%.
applying my vision to that.
And it's funny that you mentioned that San Francisco shot. I saw that post and I went, I like jumped into Midjourney immediately. And I'm like, okay, here's, I wanted to see packaging. I wanted to see like Heinz ketchup bottles in a diner in 1953 Oklahoma with like the sun coming through the window, and the results I got back were insane. And, it was like a Polaroid and, but you could see like the sunlight, you could see the dust in the sun and you can see the same shape of the Heinz bottle. And, there's like stains on the countertop and outside it was like dusty and you're like, I could never have, in a million years could I have recreated this thing, as specifically as that.
It's so cool. And, to hear you talk about the things you're doing, one of the things that was really eye-opening for me, I'm in a group with some other photographers. We meet via Zoom every couple weeks. And I had, of course, like run a demonstration of this one night, and showing them all what I was doing. And so since then, we've all been like coming back together and messaging each other, midweek, like, hey, here's what I did. And so we're having a lot of fun. But what really was the eye-opening moment for me was when I saw one of the girls, her name's Judy, and she's showing her work. Well, her work is very different than my work. It's very much more fine art, different style, different look. But everything she created in Midjourney, if she didn't tell me she did it in Midjourney, I would have thought that was just her work. Because she had gone into this program and produced her style using that program.
Yeah.
And I think I produced my style using the program. So I think that's what's cool is that we can, it's clear we can put our own stamp on the AI. Our aesthetic and our vibe is just transmitted through that. And so that was what was really interesting to me, because I had heard people say that about my work. Like, it looks like your work. And when I put it in my Instagram feed, it looks like the rest of the stuff, ironically. But to see her do it and to go, well, that's Judy's work. That's exactly what she does. That was really cool.
Yeah, no, and that goes back to the point, right? It's just another tool. And you can put in, I want Salvador Dali's take on this photograph or this product. Yeah, that's great and all, but if you can use it to create your own style, then that's who's going to get hired to do this type of work, because they want you.
Yeah, and to create your own work, because what I see a lot of right now, because the tool's new, and I'm sure this happens with everything as we do this, but you see a Darth Vader made of chocolate, and that's cool, but where are the applications for this? I don't see how I'm going to sell this image. So for me, it's about not being gimmicky, but being like what. And those are good because they explore the tools and how to use them.
100%.
But I try to think about what could I create that you may not recognize as AI. That you may not see it and go, oh, that's AI. You might see it and go, wow, that's cool. The next thing for me is like, as a food photographer, there's a lot of times we can't get certain things in season. And we can use models and we can use other stuff to make that work. But what if I could do it with AI? What if I could create that with AI and get the shot I need? So that's something that I've been playing with, and hopefully, the stuff will keep progressing. I mean, I did a peach hanging on a tree, and it was like that. And I had done that for a client. I had done peaches on a tree in the studio, and elaborate set, buying a peach tree from the nursery and hanging a peach on it. Peaches were in season, but they weren't, on trees around here. So we were hanging the peach on it and manufacturing it all and doing the light. And Midjourney did it in like 2 minutes. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Out of season, right?
Yeah.
No, that's, I worked, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked with a master framer, right? And we were doing gilding and sgraffito, and it was just, the craftsmanship involved in doing this work was out of this world. And the one thing he'd always tell me is like, you're done when you can't tell that a human hand touched this, right? But it's still impossible for somebody to have manufactured this any other way. And that's kind of how I feel with AI. Is like that's the goal. Is I want to create something that's beautiful. It looks like somebody made it, but you can't see the fingerprint of AI on it.
Right.
That's ultimately where I think we would want to go. I'm creating bags, boxes, bottles, like you name it, any kind of packaging out there. But then I started playing with like websites. So this new vodka brand. What does the website look like for that with packaging in it? And it's creating like the entire navigation. It's crazy. And you can do like brand books for this bottle. And all of a sudden it's like, here's all the colors. Here's kind of the treatments. Amazing stuff. As a photographer, then have you started uploading images and tweaking those images?
You mean to my website or to
No.
stock?
No. So like in the background, it looks like you got some oranges in a bowl or something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you were to photograph that, then take that image and then upload it to Midjourney and then tweak.
And use it. Yeah. I've done a little bit of that stuff. But I haven't had a lot of success, honestly, the way I wanted to. So I'm still playing with that and still trying to figure out how I want to bring other stuff into it. I've just done it here and there. I did bring in some basic shots that gave me like a texture I wanted and kind of worked off that texture to get a background I was trying for an image. But I haven't had a lot of success bringing in an image and then, mapping that out.
Adjusting it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I'd just be interested to see if, you've got that bowl of oranges and you're like, add a banana,
Yeah.
Right? Like just being able to tweak it that specifically.
Yeah, no, I think we'll get there. I mean, I think we're moving so fast. We're on version 4 of Midjourney, and I think we'll be on version, 6 by, February or March. So it's moving fast.
Yeah, for sure. You gave us some tips on the photography. What about lighting? Like what's some key lighting that you use?
Honestly, the best one for me is natural lighting. If you just say natural lighting, you can say cinematographic lighting or studio lighting. I've seen catalog lighting, and those all work depending on what you're trying to create. So in your case, for the bottles or the packaging, you might want catalog lighting. It tends to be a little more specific to that. But natural lighting seems to work the best. Or cinematography, will work, but it becomes very dramatic very quick.
Sure.
So you have to be careful with that one. But natural light is the one I use 90% of the time. And then sometimes I'll ask it to add a flare, because maybe I've got a window in the scene and I want some flare coming through the window, that kind of stuff. So I can kind of tweak it that way. But mostly it's not photorealistic. I use photographic style, natural light, sharp focus, might give it F8.
So photographic style, like
is what has produced the most
like
photographic
that
looking images. Yes.
Oh,
photographic style has produced the most photograph like images for me. And then natural lighting tends to be pretty good, balanced light. That's what I use in the San Francisco stuff was natural lighting. I might say sunset or dusk or something like that, but I'm really not loading it up with a lot of photo lingo. I know that it understands that, but I also find that too many prompts just start to drag it down. And then we're at that stage too, where you don't really know if that had a bearing or not, 'cause I look back at a prompt, I'm like, oh, I misspelled daylight, but it still figured it out.
But it still worked.
So did that have an effect or not?
It's fine. I find those typos too. I don't think it cares at this point. It's like, I know what you want. It's like, I know you, Terry. You want this.
Yeah. I know you. You've made all these renders. So,
the one I always use is I always throw a kicker in there, because it's like product photography. So I just want to get some separation between foreground and background.
So you say kicker, or do you say hard rim light? That's the other term I've used sometimes. Hard rim light will get me an edge light sometimes.
Like a little
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I always do Kicker, or I'll do Catchlight.
Okay. Yeah.
Like those. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I've been loading it up with the photos, with the photo lingo, and I'm feeling kind of silly now because I'm like, dude, I don't understand half of this stuff. Just like plugging them in and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Sometimes you need a thesaurus, to figure out like what's another word for this, because clearly it doesn't understand this word. So, I was trying to make a clove of garlic, and it knows a bulb of garlic, the full bulb, but it doesn't know the individual cloves. And I mean, I was looking up really obscure words for that, and I couldn't get it to recognize it. So maybe it's changed. I need to try it again. But there's some words it just clearly hasn't worked through yet. I also went to a stock photography website and said, all right, what do they call it on a stock photography website? Do they call it cloves of garlic? So I looked up what their description of the shot was, tried plugging that in, and still didn't figure it out. But
you always take a picture of a clove and then put it in there,
and then put it in there. But see if it can figure it out. So it's so fascinating what we're on the cusp of. And stock photography, Adobe has announced they're going to start accepting AI produced images, AI generated images, as long as you label them that way. So that's really cool. But I look for Adobe to buy out one of these people and really ramp it up, because they understand search. They know what people search for. They understand the verbiage. I just think this is a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've already seen some apps for Photoshop, for example, right, where I've seen in Photoshop today, you can remove a background, but now you can replace it with something, and you can actually prompt within Photoshop to generate images inside of these things. And I honestly haven't played with that yet, because it's like there's so much available at the moment. It's like I'm just trying to hone in on one thing, so I don't get overwhelmed.
Well, they've got the neuro filters now, which are kind of AI, where they're regenerating image, and the way they show it off is they take a summer image and make it winter, which is cool. But again, like how often do you need that? For me, the thing I use most in that is the harmonization, because it can take two images and then blend them together. And that happens a lot. If I'm doing a shot in the studio and I'm doing a shot in AI, the color tone, the balance, the color grade, it doesn't all match. And I can put that in Photoshop and tell it to harmonize the images, and it'll bring them together really quickly. So I'm not going in and adding all kinds of filters and desaturation or trying to make them match.
Yeah, no, and it's about speed.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Yeah, nobody's looking to have to spend 3 hours post production on AI.
Right. And then are you enlarging your AI images? Are you using a tool to do that? Because I use Topaz AI when I want to bring them up to a larger size, because obviously they're pretty small when they kick out of the program.
Wow. No, actually, I haven't gone much further than anything just on screen at the moment. But that's a great.
Okay, I'm going to pause there. I want to show you guys a couple examples of this guy's work. See if I can get there. So hopefully everyone can see that. In thinking about many of our companies, one of the things that I think you'll get involved with is product shots, and in this example here that's in front of us, I believe he's put a Tanqueray bottle into the picture, but the rest of it is created by AI. And to do that on a professional level, to create something like this would be very, very expensive. But in this case, it's just a bottle, and then he creates everything else by the AI. I think I got some other examples here. Same thing here. So this one, he added the Betty Crocker cake mix, but the rest of it is created by the artificial intelligence. So it's some kind of prompt that would get you to see, a kitchen. It looks like an old-fashioned kitchen. He's got the light coming through the window. All of that detail is created by the AI. So I think you can start to see Like in Jason's case, if he wanted to highlight seafood, you could create a set, photograph the actual seafood that you have, but then put it in different environments using the AI for social media posts or advertising or really anything that comes along. Let's see. The strawberry was created by AI. It's not a real strawberry, but you can see the detail and that can be created. Let's see. Another one. All of this was created by AI. I guess it's spinach. But with the lighting, the feel, all of that kind of stuff would cost a ton of money otherwise. So the other thing I want to do, let's see if I can try something else here for 1 second. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm just gonna, I'm no expert on this, but this is one of the AI tools called DALL-E, DALL-E they call it. But I just want to give you a sense of how this works. Notice that it says you can start with a detailed description, or you can upload your own image to start the process. But for now, let's just get a sense of what this looks like. Show me a plate of scallops. I have no idea how this will come out, guys. Hopefully it comes out. Show me a plate of scallops on a wooden kitchen table. Photograph.
Mr. Dennis, put realistic. Show me realistic will help you out a little bit.
Okay. Let me just see. Let me just try this here and see what happens, and we can change it. Photograph style, light, window. See how we do here. So you saw my prompt, obviously needs work, but you can see, like in the second one, you can see the light coming from the window. I don't know if they look like scallops or not. They look like something else. A couple of them look a little bit better, but this is, I just wanted to give you an example of how this comes across. I think you could agree that the potential for this is really a big savings over traditional kind of photography. So let's go back. So anyway, I wanted you to get a sense of that and how that process works. There are AIs coming out now where you can do this with video. You can create videos in the same way with prompts. There's just a lot going on in this space. There's also one now from Google that allows you to create music that can go with your video or I don't think you want music with a photo, but with a video, one of the problems with creating videos is not violating copyrights by using someone else's music without paying for it. In this particular Google thing, I think it's called Music LM, you can create music and you describe what it is, what kind of feeling you're trying to create, or any number of things, and it will create the music for you. And it is royalty free and it's legal to use on your media. So that's just this is an area. I know those guys were pretty technical in that talk, but I just wanted to give you a sense of In the case of the Terry Campbell, the guy on the right, this is a guy I've been doing this for 40 years, right? And he's excited. He said he's as excited as when he first got his camera. So I think that sort of enthusiasm, that sort of interest from people who do this stuff for a living, I think you're going to see incredible creativity coming along the line with this kind of stuff. So any comments? Anybody want to comment on it?
I've been using it since you taught it to me last time, and it has really brought my numbers on Facebook, my websites up. Just the different things like this one I put in the box, the country box. That was a instrumental that I put out, and it was one of the biggest ones that I've had to date. And everything within that picture was generated with the AI.
Incredible. It looks great. I don't know if you guys can see it in the chat. He's got the picture there. Yeah.
And I basically, I will tell you this, I've learned using it. Most times you're going to start with something, it's going to give you something. And kind of, that's how I learned about the realistic and different type of, like he said, it's a lot of art words you're going to have to learn to give your stuff the different looks. Because, you know, Christmas time, I found out just looking at a lot of stuff, a lot of things is more drawn, cartoonish, colorful. So those are the prompts. It's kind of like what Dennis talked about, finding the keywords for that season. Those same keywords kind of work with that prompt in doing the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is also the kind of thing, I think if you do have interns or high school or college age kids, put them on this. They'll figure it out real quick and be able to help you. And you can put in the prompts, cartoon. I've got a grandson in London, and he loves to color. He's only 3. So I send him pictures, and I tell the prompt to be, he really is into our horses. So I make pictures, I'm trying to find one now. I make pictures of our horses on our farm here running around the field. Only they're line drawings, so he can color them. And I could say, you know, show 2 horses running in a field with manes flying and a red barn in a hayfield, and do line drawing, coloring book style. And it will come back with a picture that I then send to his dad, and his dad prints it out and he colors it. And you could do a whole coloring book of your brand if you really wanted to, really easily. You could illustrate, you could tell a story. There's all kinds of things you can do with this. So Branson, thank you. That's good stuff. Branson knows this stuff. So if you need help, save yourself some time and reach out to him. I think you can get a lot of benefit out of it. Anyone else want to comment on it?
Is there anywhere we can go to kind of play around with this that's free? Like I just got on Dolly, but they're saying I've got to buy credits before I can generate anything. And I'm definitely interested in looking at this, but I'd like to get my
Do you
bearings
have
before
Canva,
I
Jason?
invest in anymore.
Do you have Canva, Jason?
Do I have what? I'm sorry.
Canva?
CANVA.
No, I don't.
Canva is a free graphic software, and they have AI capability, so you can play around with that. There's a bunch of them that are free. I'm actually surprised. DALL-E used to be free. Maybe I guess they changed their model. I don't know.
Give me 1 second. I think I have a list of free ones in my phone, and I'll put it in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
there's so many. It's crazy, right? That started off with this Midjourney and DALL-E, and what was the third one? Diffusion.
Midjourney, DALL-E, and
something diffusion.
yeah. I didn't like the diffusion one. I did it a couple times, but it wasn't to my liking.
Yeah, there's really a whole bunch of these now, and realistically, I think the oldest ones are further along, like DALL-E and Midjourney and Stable Diffusion is the other one. I believe all of them have a free tier. But even DALL-E, like I think mine's $20 a month, but it gives me DALL-E and it gives me their text tool, ChatGPT. So I get both unlimited. So I don't know if you look at Facebook, but in our Facebook group this morning, I posted an opinion about a law that's being proposed or a bill in the North Carolina legislature. And I put the law into ChatGPT and said, please give me 3 key points in support of this legislation. And it wrote me, and I said 500 words or less. And it wrote a real concise and right to the point, which I just posted and put in our Facebook group, and I put it on LinkedIn. So it's a lot of really cool stuff you can do. The other thing you can do, I don't know, Branson, you've done much of this, but you can do your product descriptions on your website also. Like you can put in what you have now, and you can say, please make this, please improve this with more benefits, and make it no more than 30 words or whatever. You can do a lot of stuff like that once you kind of get into it. All right. Did you post that on there?
I'm trying to find where I had it at.
Okay, post it on the Facebook group if you get a chance.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, because the chat goes away once we end the session. So
yeah, I'll put it in the Facebook group because I have a list of them.
Yeah, that's great. It seems like every app I open up that's photography oriented now has an AI, little button you press. All the ones, there must be 10 that are on my phone that I've used for memes and other stupid stuff, and they're all adding AI fast as they can do it. So one of the really cool things is the ability to change backgrounds. That saves you a lot of time. You could, like in Jason's case, you could put a scene of your restaurant or your seafood place or production center, and make that the background of some other picture, and save yourself a lot of time. You'll have your picture and you put yourself in it or whatever. That's a really cool way to do it. And you can also change the lighting. They talked about in there 1974 San Francisco. You can actually recreate environments from the past. So you could put your product and service and put it in an old cowboy movie or an old, really anything you can think of. You can create that environment for your product to be in. So if you want to do an ad campaign about, how long you've been catching scallops or shrimp or whatever, you could actually illustrate that with pictures from the 1920s and 1930s or whenever, when they used to, fish them in a different way, I guess, or catch them in a different way. So there's a lot of things, and I think you got the point with those two guys were talking, even though they were getting in the weeds quite a bit. They're excited, and they see it opening up all kinds of ideas for them, and so I think that's good. If any of you have an Adobe account, Adobe Express is a competitor to Canva. It's designed for like quick posts for social media and stuff, very similar to Canva. I think it's free. I'm not 100% sure, but they have something called Adobe Firefly, which is their AI. And it's really sophisticated and really extensive. Adobe's a big company, and they've got a lot of resources. So that's another one you can try. Adobe Firefly, it's called. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at some Simon Sinek stuff, get you all revved up with his observations. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. And then Wednesday, we're just going to talk about your particular company and your situation as much as we can, ways that I can help you or surface issues that you're facing with your business. And it'll just be kind of a free exchange, between all of us. So that'll be Wednesday. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.